You want to come up here and get on the video? You do? Okay, come here. Come here, come here, come here. You got to be seen at least once. Okay, Holly's down here. She just wants to lay down. Okay, but there she is. Okay, all right. Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the Sunday garden question and answer video that I do typically on Sundays. This past week it was on Tuesday with my son, who made his first appearance in one of my videos after we had done some traveling. Thank you for all the kind comments below that video. Charlie was super easy to raise. He's what he is, as you saw, as a 23-year-old, almost 24-year-old, is exactly how he was his entire life. He was very easy to raise. Let's just put it that way. I was very, very lucky in that way. I've got a college party going on right through the woods back here. I don't think you'll be able to hear it now, but the music was much louder an hour ago. I'm guessing my neighbors have called the police on them to get them to turn the music down. I don't know why. It's college students on a Saturday afternoon. Let them have fun. They only get to go to college once, and it's the middle of the afternoon on Saturday. Who cares? Let's see, what else? Ask questions down below the video, and I will pick from those next week. That's how I go about getting the questions. There were a lot of questions and a lot of comments on that video the other day. I didn't, a lot, like hundreds of comments. So thank you again for participating on Tuesday's video. In this video, I'm announcing a giveaway for another consultation with me. Thank you to everyone who signed up for consultations during December and January and into February here. I've met with a lot of you. Thank you very much for that. I'm giving away one more consultation. The way to go about winning it is to go over to my new channel, Garden Plants with Jim Putnam. I'm going to link it below this video. It's in the comments or in the description right below this video. So you go over there, click on it. It will take you over to my channel. Any of those videos over there on that new channel that you watch and make a comment below will enter you for a chance to win the consultation with me. And then I'll do this drawing next week, and then I'll schedule that meeting with whoever wins that. But every single video on that channel, if you've already made a comment below a video over there, you don't need to make another one. But I don't know how many videos there are, and I'm putting up another one today. So if you make a comment on any of those videos, that will give you more chances to win. And I'm just going to do a drawing from all the people who've made comments over on that channel. Again, it's linked below. This is not that hard. Just go over to Garden Plants with Jim Putnam, watch a video, make a comment below it. If you've already made a comment, you're already entered for the giveaway. Easy peasy. I just need watch time over there on that channel because the only way for me to get it monetized is to get over 4,000 watch hours. Those videos are very short, so I've got plenty of subscribers. You guys have gone over there and subscribed like crazy. Thank you very much. And you've watched the videos quite a bit, but again, they're just so short. So if you haven't watched them, watch them, enter the contest, and I'll be happy to meet with a winner and go over some things in your landscape. Okay. Let's get to some questions. Somebody asked me about fruit tree spacing. They're going to be doing some fruit tree planting. Wanted to know how far they should be spaced apart. It depends on if they're like well, obviously a lot goes into this because I don't know what kind of fruit you're going to do. But if, let's say you had regular apple trees, regular sized apple trees, they probably need to be as much as 15 feet apart. If you're doing dwarf cultivars of apples, they can be 6 to 8 feet apart, something like that. So really depends on the type of trees and whether they're dwarf or standard size trees. Somewhere between 6 and 15 feet apart, probably something like that. But if you can find dwarf cultivars, they are easier to manage in a home garden typically. Somebody said their flirting andenas have berries, and flirting andenas are supposed to be sterile and not berries. So this is the first I've heard of this. I don't know if somehow, some way, somebody took cuttings off of a different andena. Those flirting andenas were done by, I think, Magnolia Nursery, and they do all the tissue culture on them. So they've been in full control of that plant the entire time. So I'm suspicious as to whether or not the ones that you got were definitely flirting andenas from them and not some other dwarf andena. If they are 100% positive that they're flirting andenas, you can send me a photo of the berries, because I'd certainly like to see it. But that thing is supposed to be sterile, and like I say, they've been tissue cultured, millions of them have been tissue cultured, and I don't think this would be the first report of it. So I'm suspicious of whether they're actually flirting andenas. So, but maybe. Let's see. Somebody asked, okay, so they got a dormant spirea in the mail and wanted to know what to do with it between now and spring. I would say that you probably want to keep it in a cold place if you're not going to go ahead and plant it. I don't know where you are. If you're in the south and you got a dormant spirea, put it in the ground. If you're in zone 7, 8, 9, 10, the ground's not frozen, not zone 10, but 7, 8, 9, you would just put it in the ground, I think, at this point. If you're in zone 5 or 6, you can't work the soil right now, then put it in the garage, plant it in a container and put it in the garage. Don't put it inside because it might flush it out and there's not enough light in there if it does flush out to get good growth on it. Okay. Somebody asked why I don't like mulberries. There's a native mulberry, Morris rubra, the red mulberry. That's a native mulberry. I don't mind it, but the Chinese mulberry, Morris alba, is, gosh, I've got one right here next to the fence that I haven't been able to kill. It's it's right along the chain link fence back here. Those things seed themselves everywhere. I mean, they are a terrible, terrible noxious weed. I don't care what you think about the fruit. I can go through this neighborhood and I can show you Chinese mulberries just everywhere. And there's Morris Australias too. That thing's just as invasive. So it's not that I don't like mulberries so much as their invasive nature of them. I rarely see anybody with the actual native mulberry. Mostly what you see are the invasive ones. And then somebody asked me, the same person I think asked about seeding borage, and then had read that it was self-seed and could be potentially invasive. So it's basically two invasive questions in one. Yeah, it can seed itself, but the seedlings are easy to get up. It's not the type of plant that's going to take over the woods or anything like that. They're easily identifiable. So yes, you will have seedlings come from your seeded borage the next year. You can just choose where you want it to come up, and the rest of it can just go away. It's self-seeding, but not particularly invasive. Let's just put it that way. Okay, somebody asked when to move a bobo hydrangea. I think now would be the time. Any hydrangea that's completely dormant. I think most things are pretty dormant. If you're in the eastern part of the country right now, we have all gotten some cold finally, and all our plants are very dormant. So now would be the time. Okay, so somebody had a dogwood die, likely of anthracnose. Our native dogwoods have really taken it hard from anthracnose. Wanted to know about replacing it with a camellia. Would the camellia have the same problem? No, but they both do. They are both susceptible to anthracnose, but a different anthracnose. So that one's not going to hurt the camellia, but there is some reports of anthracnose in camellias, but it's a different one. So lots of comments always about sunshine ligustrum getting thin in the winter time. Mine are not this year. Mine are still pretty full, and I'll have one back. The one back here, I think it's out of frame. It was in the frame last week, getting thin. The sunshine ligustrum is basically a deciduous plant that happens to hold its leaves through the winter. So it holds its leaves through the winter, and then the new leaves push the old leaves off. Sometimes, and a lot of times actually, they'll lose their leaves like a month or two before the new leaves come on. It happens on newer planted plants more typically, but not always. So like last year, this one is back here, which you can't see in the frame, it thinned completely. It did exactly what you're asking me about. Then it flushed out in the spring. It looked great all summer if you saw it on camera at all. And now it has flushed back out. I don't know if you guys can hear this music. The music's creeping back up again. Let's see. Somebody asked me about doing a video on shade-loving screening plants. That is definitely on my list of videos to do. Somebody asked me about, I talked several times recently about mulch timing for weeds and wanted me to elaborate on that. I've got this leaf covering out here, and when I mulch, I'm only going to mulch a couple inches. So this doesn't take a whole lot of mulch. to kind of seal the ground off. So I'm going in here with a very thin, basically thin layer of mulch right here during February for exactly what I'm talking about, just to kind of seal the ground off going into March, when most of my summer weeds are trying to germinate. March, April, May, I'll have a good cap on the ground. This music is getting louder and louder. Okay, again, I don't mind the music. I'm not complaining about it at all. I think college kids should have a chance to blow steam off. It's just that I started the video thinking it was gone. It's going down again. Okay, somebody asked me, let me see. Somebody made a comment, does Charlie have a garden? No, he's 23 and still in an apartment. And he's got his, he's got a good job. He's well on his way. He'll have a garden soon enough. Let's see. Somebody asked me about planting Ranunculus. Ranunculus is hardy in zone 8 to 10, meaning that the corms can be planted in the ground anytime, pretty much, that they're available to you, and then they come back year after year, and they just go down in the ground a couple inches. An easy corm or bulb-like planting, an irregular shaped bulb, basically. Those corms can go in the ground anytime. They're available to you, and then they come back year after year. Those folks in zone 4 to 7 that want to grow them can put them in the ground in the spring, and then they'll bloom during the summer. They have beautiful, almost just perfect rose-like flowers on them. Great plants, but that's when. So if you're in the areas where they're not hardy, you spring plant them. They bloom during the summer. If you're in areas where they're hardy, whenever you can get them. Zone 8 to 10. Okay, somebody asked me, why do I use pine bark mulch? And they use brown dyed mulch. I don't use pine bark mulch for anything on the top of the ground. I've talked about pine bark fines many times, incorporating that into clay soils and that kind of thing, but I tend not to use pine bark top dressing the ground. There is some in my annual beds. I do like to use compost and fine pine mix for my annuals, because the annuals can really root into that very easily. But I don't really use it in my beds because pine bark floats a bit. And it can move around, and so I don't really use it to top dress things. I do incorporate it, and again, the one area I do top dress with it is in my annual beds, but it's mixed in with some compost. I use triple shredded hardwood mulch as my top mulch, but I don't care if you use pine straw or whatever you want to use. It doesn't really matter. It makes no difference. But I don't use pine bark, like pine bark mini nuggets or nuggets on the top, just because they will float. And I've had a lot of experience with that, especially if you have downspouts, gutters near the house. It won't stay in place very well. But the triple shredded hardwood will just kind of lock down on itself. Pine straw will lock down on itself and won't move as easily. Everything will move, but doesn't move as easily. Then somebody asked me why I don't like pampas grass, because Charlie and I said we didn't like pampas grass in the in the video on Tuesday, just because the way it looks great for several years, and then it tends to die out in the middle, and then it just has this weird area of growth out on the edges of it, and then the real problem is it's really hard to get out of the ground. Once you've decided that you don't want it anymore, if you have an old established pampas grass, you basically have to burn them to get them out. So that's the only reason. And plus, it's just wicked. I mean, the things are, you get 1 million paper cuts. It's like death by 1,000 cuts messing with those things as well. So just in general, that. Now, from a distance, a perfect pampas grass with the big white showy flowers on the top before they set seed, they're beautiful. They're also invasive out west. Okay, let's see. And then, so I got another question about mulching over the leaves, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put a cap of mulch over the leaves. The leaves are mulch. They're not the most attractive mulch, but they are mulch. They're doing that same exact job that any other mulch would do. They've insulated the roots on my plants through the winter, and probably overall helped with the fact that we went from a very mild November, December with a lot of growth still happening on plants, and me putting photos up on Instagram of all these incredible things flowering throughout my neighborhood, and then took a nosedive in January. So I'm sure these leaves have helped quite a bit, insulating everything out here. So Okay, so that's it for the questions. Again, ask questions down below this video, then go over to the Garden Plants with Jim Putnam link in the description of this video. Make comments below those videos over there, and each time you leave a comment below a different video, you'll be entered to win a consultation with me, which I hope is helpful. And again, I've met a lot of folks here in the last, a lot of folks signed up. When I did the giveaways back in December, a lot of folks signed up. And so I've enjoyed meeting lots of you. So thank you again for participating. And I think that's it for this one. Ask questions down below. Thanks for watching.